That I started out A Course in Miracles in 1980, so it's been a journey for me with A Course in Miracles. Let me tell you how A Course in Miracles came in my life, and some of you might have heard this story before, but I think it's a good representation of how the Course comes into a lot of people's lives, because it seems to just haunt you. It's that book that you hear about, it's in all the other books, and everybody talks about it every once in a while. It's like, oh yeah, the Course in Miracles, oh yeah, oh I did that, oh yeah, it's good. It just comes about. Well, I belonged to a educational corporation. I was doing a lot of work in the field of metaphysics in the 70s. Wow, yeah, back then people, yes. So anyway, so I was doing that. I was doing a week-long retreat with Leonard Orr. I don't know if you know about him. He's the one who originated rebirthing and all the breath work, and it all came out of that. So I was at this retreat, and strangers came up to me, three different strangers, 3 different times, came up to me and said, "Have you ever heard of A Course in Miracles?" Now this is 79. A Course in Miracles was published in 76, so it's not that big, right? So they go, "Have you ever heard of A Course in Miracles?" I'm like, "No, I haven't heard of A Course in Miracles." It was on the requested book list of the retreat, you know. So, and they said, "You'd really like it." I said, "Well, have you done it?" And they go, "No, but you'd like it." 3 different people. I'm not kidding. They didn't know me. I didn't know them. They didn't know the book. What is this? Anyway, I had to go all the way into Manhattan, to East-West bookstores. Anybody know that too? Whoa. All this old stuff. Thank you. Somebody shaking their head. Yes. And found the book in there. And the time was in 3 volumes, big, you know, and the font was all crazy. It was published here in Huntington, in the Huntington Quadrangle. If you know that, right on 110 here. That's where this book was first published. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it's cool. So let's say, okay, what is A Course in Miracles? A Course in Miracles is channeled material. Channeled material means it came through somebody else, okay? The person who it came through is the name of Helen Schuckman. Helen worked with Bill Thetford at Columbia University. They were psychologists. Their whole shtick was helping people who heard voices in their head. And here Helen was not too thrilled to hear a voice in her head. I love this. This is me. This is so my life. It is so, you know, please don't let me do this. And of course it lets me do this. Okay, so she hears it. She goes to Bill because the two of them, you know, the backstabbing. And here she was, a professional woman, and you know, in the early 60s, really up and coming in her field. And it was hard. It was really hard. And she was a tough woman. Not this lovey person you would think from a spiritual perspective. But she knew, at one point, the two of them, they knew, there must be a better way. And the Course in Miracles, there's 3 parts to the book. There's the text that gives you the framework of the Course. There's the workbook that we heard in the meditation, beautiful meditations that help you to experience this. And there's also a teacher's manual. And a teacher's manual, it says that everybody's a teacher. We're all teaching all the time. Because what are you teaching? But in there it says, there is not someone who has not felt something. That's that there must be a better way. They said there isn't anybody who hasn't felt that. Because the truth of who we are remains constant throughout all the other stuff that goes on in our lives and in our delusions of who we think we are and what we think is going on in our world. Okay? So they have this idea, there must be this better way, and then she starts hearing this voice. It says, "This is A Course in Miracles, please take notes." That's how this wonderful spiritual thing comes through. And so she goes to Bill, her boss, and she goes, "What do I do?" And he goes, "What? Take the notes." Well, let's see what happens, you know? So they did, and she would write it in steno, and then she would bring it into him, and he would type it up, and that's how they would come across it. And you know, they put it all together, and one of the other people that came into this whole story was Judy Scutch and also Ken Wapnick. And Ken Wapnick was going to be a priest at the time, a monk. You know, he was a professor, and he came, and Helen and Bill met him, and they said, "Look at this. This is this, you know, don't tell anybody. This is manuscript, let's see what it is. And he looked at it and he said, oh no, this is something, and him and Judy, and they all said, we have to publish this and put it out there. And so that's why it's published by a Foundation for Inner Peace. There is no, it's not given any recognition to any writers. Nobody's making money out of this for the particular book itself. There is no special the person for A Course in Miracles. Again, something I love. It's a self-study program. That's it. That's what it is. It's a self-study spiritual psychotherapy. Now, the language of the book is very Judeo-Christian. You'll hear about that a lot. And the channeled voice that comes through Helen says to be Jesus. So we go, okay, wait, spiritual psychotherapy, you say it's Judeo-Christian, but yet the content, what it is very Buddhist. Buddhist or Taoist, that's what it's bringing you to. So that it has this wonderful meld of all this stuff going through it. And we picked a lot of different pieces out of it today, but I really wanted to pick the introduction. That's the introduction that we have in our Words of Wisdom. Why is this a required course? Because it's a required course because it says the separation isn't real. That's why it's required, because it says we have not left the oneness, right? Because we do all of these songs, all of this work, all of this praying and this divinity and all. We all say it's one. But yet I see me, I see you, I see you, I see you. Now that's for 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The separation. But the requirement of this course is that the one is one and that's it. That's it. That's why it's a required course. Now the time we take it is voluntary. Today we're all one, tomorrow, Right, tomorrow, no, not that. This one's in, this one's out, this one's here, this one's there. We're full of the separation. See? The time we take it is voluntary. See what happens in this? And that's what it's talking about. Because this is a course that's not talking about form. This course doesn't talk about form because as far as form goes and the world goes and things of solidness, it has rules, right? This world has rules, we all know it. What's the rules of the world? It's about separation. It's about survival of the fittest, right? One or the other. In order for this body to survive, unfortunately, other bodies gotta go. And either that's an animal or a vegetable or something, or the air or water or something. There's always this, the world of form is really about what the Course would say. It's a perpetuation of that concept of separation. And what we do is we lose our minds, not the brain, we lose our minds by getting caught up in form. Very Buddhist, right? Very much in the Tao. We get that split mind, the yin and the yang, or the Course would say the love or the fear, or the Holy Spirit or the ego, and we're getting caught up in the back and forth of that, but yet really there's only that oneness. But that it uses that dualistic thought system in order to bring about an understanding of that oneness. Now, the way that it can bring about the understanding of this oneness is not to teach us about love. He says that right there in the introduction again. That love cannot be taught. It can't. Because then we're contriving it. Right? Love is, and what is it? He says, we say God is, and then we cease to speak. It's a verb. I like to say that about gathering, too. We're not the gathering of light. The makes us a noun. We're gathering. We're constant. We're in action. We're a verb. What's gathering today? Who's gathering today? What are we gathering up, right? That God is. It's just in that isness, that beingness, that energy, it isn't stagnant. But in that, there's that oneness, like the ocean, right? The ocean is the one, and it's just moving. It's moving and being. But sometimes we think of it as the wave. We get caught up in the waves. This wave's over here, looking at that wave. What's that wave doing? It's all still the ocean. It's all still the ocean. We're always in that oneness. So really, even though it's this beautiful, beautiful course, I always as a kid, I always heard about, that whole, that God was so great, right? As a little kid, God is great, God is good, let's thank God, it's so good. But then there's an opposite. It does not compute, all the circuits are firing and going off. Wait a second. should mean all power. Nothing can be against it. Nothing can. And this book told me that. This book started to show me that. And so here I am back in my little, psychedelic little place that I had at the time. Sitting in my little, little basement. I got my workbook out because I'm going to be a good student. I knew nobody that did this, right? I had to go to this crazy workshop, had to go into the city, had to do that. I knew nobody that was doing this Course in Miracles. And here I am in my little basement, but I'm going to do the workbook. I guess I'll do the workbook. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do so I can do it. I'd be the good student. And I start lesson 1, 2, 3. I get to about lesson 50 and I'm sitting there and all of a sudden my whole body started to shake. Everything started to shake. And I knew with every fiber of my being, my God, if I continue to do this, I will never be the same again. Now that should be a hallelujah moment. That should be like, yes, that's a great thing, right? But I didn't know anybody else that did this. What did that mean? Right? The ego jumps back in. I get this, I'll never be the same again. Things are breaking up, that stuckness, those barriers, the blocks to the awareness of love's presence were getting shook up. They were moving out of the way so I could see that glory, that wonder, that I can actually not just see it, I could be it. Right? Because that's what we do the spirituality for, because we want that experience of being in that rather than just talking about it. But the ego jumps in and wants to put the big block up and he goes, well, what would that look like? Your family says, you're going to shave your head and you're going to go sell roses in the airport. Well, sometimes it wasn't a bad idea. I love singing Hare Krishna. But, but I couldn't put the book away. I couldn't just put it away. And I know like a lot of people, it comes into your life and you take it out, you do it for a little while, it goes up on the shelf or whatever. It's that kind of book that kind of bounces around a little bit. I couldn't do it. For some reason, I just couldn't do it. I put it under my pillow for 6 months. The book stayed under my pillow. And then one day, my friend was visiting, my closest friend, my dearest friend, the oldest friend that I have. We've known each other since elementary school, and she was traveling all around the world, a young mom, and now settled down, and here she is. And the one person in the world that I thought had the biggest heart, and I know I could always go to, she's my other mother, Emily. She was so sweet and loving and everything, and the safest place in the world I could ever be. She was part of the school board. She just a single woman trying to just make it in the world, doing the best she can. Nothing spectacular as far as the world of form goes, but the most loving, safest person I felt with. And I go to her house and there's the Course in Miracles right on her table. And here's the answer to my question 6 months later. What would I be like? How about the most loving person you could think of? Not too bad, right? A wonderful, wonderful confirmation. And I said to her, Course in Miracles, do you do that? And she goes, oh yeah, I have a group once a week. Why don't you come down? I went to the group and I didn't hear a word they said. I don't know what the heck they were talking about. This book is like blah, blah, blah. I was actually going to read to you today just chapter 21, The Forgotten Song. It's so beautiful, it's okay. Like, what am I, crazy? Nobody. This book isn't written that it just automatically speaks to you. It kind of works at you. It makes you work at it until one day, all of a sudden, it's just poetry, emotion. It just calls to your heart, it calls to your soul. Because what it does is it talks about the ego. It brings up all of those blocks and brings us to that place so we can just allow it to wash away. Like our song of reflection, when Krishna Das is saying in that song, I looked away, your love almost too much to bear. That's a very Course in Miracles thing. That's saying that love is so amazing that me in my ego mind, me in that sense of my separated self, do not believe the love that is here for me. I don't believe it. In fact, I've gone so much as to distrust it because I believe in the separated self that I am. And so it's a process. It's a process of undoing. And that's what the Course uses that word atonement, which it means that undoing of that idea of separation, so that I can have a personal experience with my, what he calls your right mind. Because it's us. It's a part of us. And Jesus, throughout the book, talks about himself as being the elder brother. And so much so as far as, and I love to say it in my class, as if we're all one. It's one brother, one being, one Son of God, right? And it uses that masculine terminology, please. It doesn't mean it in the same way, but again, another thing that we have to work on, that's that block, who's better, who's what, all of the things. It's those trigger words just to get us. Why? So we can think about it, we can see it, we can learn a little more from it. Believe me, I had to go there a lot. So as you heard me in the Shekinah before. But that one Son of God, so there's that one Son of God, and Jesus is that part of us that's awake, that woke up. And me, I'm the foot that fell asleep. So Jesus is like, come on, wake up, wake up, wake up. But there's no separation, right, between the foot and the other part. All one Son of God together in this. A brother that's a little far ahead of the way, just to help us along the way till we see there is no separation, there is no difference in that. So there's a lot to this. There's a lot of weaving and interweaving, a lot of levels that goes on in this book, helping us to move us out of this one level of seeing ourselves in that separated self to ultimately knowing the oneness and the truth of who we are. And it all comes back to our thought. What's going on inside my head? Which thought system am I listening to in my mind? The thought system of love or the thought system of fear? And that translates very wonderfully to this wonderful quote that Isabel put on our altar. Would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? Right? The ego wants to be right. The ego wants to be right. And the Course says, look at that. You can choose it. It's so gentle. It is so loving. It says you can choose that. Because from the interpretation of the divine, it's all a dream anyway. Nobody's really getting hurt. Imagine that. Nobody's really getting hurt. Nobody's really suffering. Nobody's being born or dying or separating. Only the love is real. Only the love is real. How many times do we say, and in the end, the love you make is equal to the love you do? Only the love is real. We want everything else, but only the love is real. And he says, so hold on to all that other stuff, but look at the holding on to it. And look how much pain it is causing you. And this voice for love, this presence of love, stays with us and is here with us, waiting and waiting for us to let go of that which we've created, of that which we've hold on to so tightly, so that the love that is here, always, always here, and always meant to be, can be ours. So this is our inheritance. This is a way to live our lives. The way that I practice the Course mostly in my life is by the prayer of peace. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him and set me. I do not have to worry. Imagine that. About what to do. About what to say. For he who sent me will direct me, and I will be content to go wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. And I will be healed, as I let him teach me to heal.